JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, man dies after being shot in leg by a cop. A probe has been launched into the death of a man who was shot in the leg after he allegedly attacked a police officer who had confiscated a machete from his vehicle in the corporate area on Tuesday. The unidentified man was later found inside his vehicle, which crashed in the vicinity of the Ferry police station in St. Catherine. The man, who is of dark brown complexion, slim build, and was about 6 feet tall, was clad in a pair of camouflage jeans shorts and white t-shirt at the time of his death. Reports are that on Tuesday, the lawman was driving his motor car along Spanish Town Road when he noticed the driver of a Nissan motor car slapping another motorist with a machete. The officer reportedly approached the machete-wielding man, but the latter told the lawman several expletives and sped off in his vehicle. Further reports indicated that the officer made another attempt to speak to the man during a stop at a gas station on Mandela Highway. The lawman reportedly urged the man to hand over the machete and he refused, but the officer was eventually able to seize the object from inside the driver's vehicle and urge him to drive to the Hunts Bay police station. However, the motorist reportedly refused to comply and the cop drove off in his vehicle. According to reports, while the officer was driving on the roadway, the infuriated motorist drove down the vehicle, forcing the officer to stop. The enraged motorist reportedly then proceeded towards the officer with a knife, and despite several calls for the man to stop, including the firing of a warning shot from the lawman, the man failed to comply. The policeman then took evasive action and fired, hitting the man in his leg. According to reports, the wounded man subsequently ran to his vehicle and sped away from the scene. Shortly after, the police were alerted that a motor car, which matched that of the wounded man, crashed into a median in the vicinity of the Ferry police station. It was transported to the hospital where it was pronounced dead. The matter has since been reported to the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM. 33-year-old charged with murder in Westmoreland. 33-year-old O'Shane Blair, otherwise called Pastor, of Corda District, Grangeville, Westmoreland, was arrested and subsequently charged with the murder of 25-year-old Jervain Lou, otherwise called Jermaine, a carpenter of Top Lincoln District in Grangeville, arising from an incident which occurred on Wednesday, February 9. Allegations are that about 9:45 a.m., Lou was driving a motorcycle when he was pounced upon by Blair, who brandished a handgun and opened gunfire, hitting him to the upper body. The police were summoned, and upon their arrival, Lou was seen lying along the road with multiple gunshot wounds. On Monday, February 14, Blair was shot and injured by gunmen and was admitted and placed under police guard. He was later released from hospital and subsequently charged. 4-year-old dies after being left in car at Rollington Town Basic School. Educators and students at D. Stowe Bennett Basic School in Rollington Town are in mourning following the death of a 4-year-old student who was left in a car on Thursday. The child has been identified as Jordan Clark. It is alleged that the teacher carried a group of students to the school, but that Clark did not get out of the vehicle. Later in the day, the teacher reportedly went back to the car and discovered the unconscious child. Clark was taken to the Bustamante Hospital for Children and was pronounced dead. Superintendent Tommy Lee Chambers, who commands the Kingston Eastern Police Division, confirmed the child's death and said that an investigation has been launched. The child was taken to school by the teacher, and it seems as if everyone got out of the car and did not remember or figured more or less that the child had gotten out of the car. My detective has taken over the investigation, she said. Meanwhile, the father of the child, Curtis Clark, is demanding answers.
Fear story with them say, because I don't hear fear story, I don't see she. What them say she say is that she left him in the car and forget him. All that makes sense. If you carry more than one picnic at school and you teach the picnic them, or you have left one picnic in the car from your car to school, and when he's dead when school over, you have to find out that this little boy never attended the class and he's a 4-year-old child. Can't explain it right now. God man, can't sleep, can't stop thinking about my son. I never expect me to live to see that day. Never expect. And my son full of sense. Son is a very, very smart good boy. Nothing of them say cannot add up but how my son dead. Nothing at all. I know I'm not see the teacher and I have to talk to the teacher. No.
Last month, a policeman in St. Elizabeth left his 1-year-old daughter in his car, which resulted in the death of a toddler. She was reportedly left locked inside his car for 8 hours as he went to work. She was pronounced dead at the Black River Hospital. Man charged for stabbing death of St. Mary loan officer. A St. Mary man who was detained in connection with the stabbing death of a loan officer in Hyatt Hill District in the parish has been charged with murder. He is 48-year-old Roy Stevenson, who is also from Hyatt Hill. Stevens reportedly fled the area following an altercation with 24-year-old Jervis Francis, who was employed at Jane Bank. Stevenson was later apprehended. Investigators have stated that Stevenson was involved in a dispute with Francis's relatives on February 20, and that shortly after he went to speak to the accused about the incident. According to investigators, Stevenson and Francis were involved in a confrontation when he was stabbed and later died. Stevenson was charged on Wednesday, and police sources said that a date for his court appearance is being finalized. PNP launches $10,000 fund to help stranded Jamaican students. The People's National Party PNP has established a $10,000 fund to help Jamaican students trapped in Ukraine amid the Russian invasion. Party President Mark Golding says the money is to help with transportation, food, or other necessities. Golding also said he has contacted Prime Minister Andrew Holness to see if the funds can be routed through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade to ensure that the efforts are coordinated and seamless. We just want to get the money to them as quickly as possible to help to get them out, he said. Golding says he has also made contact with the Jamaican students who are still in the Ukraine. In a statement, the PNP said, at the request of the students, Golding has already provided a personal donation to cover the cost of train tickets for 25 students from the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv who are seeking to get to Poland. In a statement, the PNP said, at the request of the students, Golding has already provided a personal donation to cover the cost of train tickets for 25 students from the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv who are seeking to get to Poland. Unfortunately, they were eventually unable to secure the tickets, as the train was already fully booked. They are continuing to try to find other options to leave, said Golding. He said the emergency fund was established with the support of friends of the PNP. The PNP wants to assure the students and their families that we'll do whatever we can to assist them and will continue to lobby the government to act in their best interest, said Golding. Alleged gang leader wanted men to use no gun on one of his soldiers. Reputed leader of the Wandon faction of the Klansman gang had reportedly given an order for one of his soldiers, whom he believed was a police informant, to get the first shot from a brand new handgun that he had bought for the gang. Yesterday, the court heard that while Andre Blackman Brown was in custody, it was convicted that defendant Jaziel Oates, who goes by the moniker Squeeze Eye, was among the alleged gang members who had turned on him and wanted him killed. On one of the recordings, the former top-tier member of the gang, who had secretly recorded his conversations with the gang members, was heard discussing with defendant Roll Taylor, otherwise called Rel, a new firearm, a black and silver handgun, which a gang had bought for $60,000. During the conversation, the ex-gangster, the prosecution's second star witness, was heard saying, "And my boy himself will work upon his still," after telling Rel that he had gotten permission to come for the gun. When asked by the prosecutor to explain what he was saying when he mentioned my boy, he stated that he was referring to Squeeze Eye. Blackman said when the gun by, Squeeze Eye must be the first one for the fight, the prosecution witness disclosed. In another recording, the witness was heard telling the marked for death alleged gangster that he had not yet purchased the gun, although the court had heard in a previous recording that the gun was paid for and delivered. "The man them get through?" Squeeze Eye asked. "Them no get through all now," the witness replied. The witness, who was one of Blackman's drivers in that conversation, also lied to Squeeze Eye about purchasing the gun from a man who defendant Fabian Cox Johnson had told them about. Asked why he had lied, he showed that Blackman and City Puss didn't want him to know about the gun. They want to kill him because them say he was working with the police. The witness, during his testimony yesterday, also pointed out that the gun in question was one of the two guns that he had helped the police to retrieve. He had previously testified that he had told Blackman and City Puss, the gang's alleged second-in-command, that he had someone to kill and they gave him permission to borrow the gun, but had asked him to give them feedback when he used it and to provide a photo of the weapon. During the playing of the recording, Rel was heard asking what he had told Blackman about the gun. "Me tell him say it feel good, man. Me nah lie, they spring a kick in it," the witness replied. However, the witness, who previously claimed that he had never fired a gun, told the court that he was only bluffing as he had to pretend that he had fired the gun. In that same conversation, Rel was heard further telling the witness that the man who had sold him the gun had informed him that he had 12 more the same exact thing and some tall one. "From it a kick good without no problem, you know. The greatest thing them a lick good," the witness replied. 57 new COVID cases in Jamaica, 2 deaths recorded. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has reported 57 new COVID-19 cases and 2 deaths on Thursday, February 24, bringing the infection total to 127,856 and total deaths to 2,810. There were 181 recoveries in the last 24 hours, bringing that total to 75,952. Currently, 159 people are hospitalized, 16 of which are severely ill, while 5 were critically ill and 34 moderately ill. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.